Well, hustlers, good morning. Tyrone here. It's cheaper to keep her. That's an old song by Ray Charles. Ray Charles is one of my favorite artists, and he sang this song called It's Cheaper to Keep Her. Now, you're going to understand why I'm talking about that in a minute, but I would suggest one change to the song's lyrics for 2018. I would call it It's Cheaper to Keep Him or Her. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. All right, we talk about the financial benefits of marriage on this channel a lot. And that's because marriage is a business contract in the eyes of the state. Yes, it is true. Marriage is also a religious institution, okay, and it is smiled upon in the eyes of religion. And yes, marriage is something that two people do when they love each other a lot. Marriage is also, in addition to those things, marriage is also a business contract that is recognized by the state, the government. And in so doing, in being recognized by the state, the government says, because you're getting married, we're going to give you some incentives. We're going to give you tax incentives. Now, we talked about a few of those with Sabrina Brooks of The Tax Place. Those videos are beneath this one. Go watch those. Or look at the playlist, the marriage playlist here at the channel. The government also says, hey, one of the other things we're going to do for you is probate. When you transfer your assets, when one of the spouses pass on, die, we're going to let the spouse that survives get those assets in a tax-free transfer. Okay? A lot of times that's exactly how it happens. So that's another incentive that the government provides. Of course, there are other incentives to being married. Just like when any company merges, when companies merge, they share, they consolidate expenses, okay? So when a lot of people get married, they go from living in two different homes to one home, and they pay one mortgage payment. When companies merge, they say, hey, we're going to have one headquarters, not two, so we're going to eliminate one. And that's going to be a cost savings for us. And we'll take the money from that, and we'll put it into operations, and we'll make more money with it. Well, with a married couple, hey, now that you got one mortgage payment instead of two, maybe, hey, I don't know, maybe you take the other house and you rent it out. You use it as income. Or maybe you sell it and use the proceeds to make another investment. Okay, that's how it works with, that's one of the other benefits to being married. So, why does the government give us these incentives for being married? Very, very simple. Because governments want us to do things that ultimately benefit governments. So you're getting tax breaks for being married because a lot of times when people get married, they buy bigger homes, okay, with a bigger property tax obligation. And what do married couples do? What are they famous for? Having kids. So the government looks at a kid as a little teeny future taxpayer, okay? So they're going to grow up, they're going to get into the system, they're going to buy houses, cars, and they're going to get income, and that's going to all result in a tax of some sort. And the government doesn't have to wait for 18 years for that little kid to become, a consumer. Okay, from the time, or even before the child is in the womb, they become a consumer of medical services. Okay, of different types of medications, and the mom goes out and she buys a new set of clothing, and the dad goes out and he buys maybe some safety stuff to childproof the house and all that good stuff. Okay, so mom and dad working together, and bam, they're spending money, and they're spending sales tax a lot of times. Okay, so that's why the government says, go ahead, get married. You're going to benefit us, we're going to benefit you. Now, the government also says, just like we give you these benefits for being married, we're going to, put in some disincentives to getting a divorce because they want you to stay married. Okay, it's more beneficial for the government. It's more beneficial for you, actually, across all the asset classes, including your emotional health, optimally. Okay, I understand that in some cases things happen and people just can't stay married. I get it. Okay, stuff happens. But we're just talking about in the best case scenario where, sure, disagreements happen, but a lot of the divorces that come about sometimes are for trivial reasons, and I want to just talk to this audience about that, because if you're going to get married, make sure it's someone you can stay married to for the rest of your life. The reason being is if you're out there building wealth, then I'm going to show you how that wealth can really be detrimentally affected by divorce. You're well aware of what alimony is. You know that the higher income earning spouse in a divorce many times has to pay the lower income earning spouse alimony. And the reason for that is the government says you got to keep that woman or that man in the lifestyle they have become accustomed to. Okay? So the ladies are out there these days. They're making a lot of money. They're making a lot of power moves. They got businesses. They got executive positions. And if they marry a man or another woman who has a lower income, then they are subject to having to pay that person alimony. Okay? Now, they've changed some of the rules around alimony as well. They've made it even more of a detriment to the person to the higher income spouse. Alimony, post-tax reform law, is no longer deductible. It's no longer a deductible expense for the one paying the alimony. Now, for the person who receives the alimony, the change is now the government is not requiring the alimony to be listed as income. All right? That's huge. And you might say, well, why are they doing that? Why are they not asking that person to list that alimony as income? I think what they're doing there is saying sometimes alimony is only for a specific period of time. It does not go on in perpetuity in a lot of cases. So they're saying that this is an opportunity for the lower income spouse to be able to take the tax savings and maybe invest it or do something with it that will, at the end of the alimony period, allow that person to actually be able to maintain the lifestyle they become accustomed to. And the government, again, wants you to maintain that lifestyle, because if you are able to stay in a bigger house, then you continue to pay a bigger house property tax. All right? So that's one of the major detriments. Now, the other one, if there are minor children in the relationship, in addition to being hit with alimony, you could also be hit with child support. Those are two separate things. And child support is not cheap, and it is not deductible on your taxes either. So you're getting, kind of a double whammy there, triple whammy, really, when you account for alimony, the expense of it, child support and the expense of it, and the fact that it cannot any longer, well, child support never could be deducted, but the deductibility of the alimony is no longer, a possibility. So it's cheaper to keep him or her. Now, this message is for, in the country right now, hey, all genders, regardless of sexual orientation or preference, can enjoy the financial benefits of marriage. And just as we all are able to enjoy the financial benefits of marriage, we all also can be subject to the financial detriments of divorce. So this is not, I'm not Steve Harvey. I'm not offering relationship advice. All I'll say is just try to make sure the partner is someone that you can spend the rest of your life with, especially if you are out here wealth hustling and building, assets. Because take a look at what Tiger Woods went through. I'm not saying anything about the whether he was right or wrong or any of that. The point of the matter is, him and his wife divorced, and now the kids are over here. Tiger Woods is over here, and he's a very rich man, so I'm sure it doesn't look like typical divorce. But still, I think if you're building wealth and that is your mission, and a financial legacy is what you want to create for your family, then I think that it's better to continue to stay married as opposed to, bifurcating or breaking that union up into two different entities that are operating on different financial, missions. So, before I let you go, I just want to observe one other really famous person, Oprah Winfrey. Now, Oprah is not married, and I don't know why that is, but it could be that she says, hey, I'm very rich, and tax incentives from the government for being married won't really benefit me because I am so rich. So, in order to preserve my wealth and not have to be exposed to a divorce in which I, Oprah Winfrey, is obviously going to be the breadwinner, is not even, doesn't even come close to defining her financial ability. But she would definitely be exposed to alimony. Okay? Um, so I think Oprah just said, hey, look, I'm going to stay in the relationship and have friends and whatnot. Stedman is her long term friend. But hey, why should I get married? So I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not. Anyway, like the channel. I'm sorry, subscribe to the channel. Just hit subscribe. It's right there below. Also, need you to go onto Facebook and like the Facebook page, and also follow us on Twitter. We've got something on Facebook today that's really going to interest you. It is about an income stream you can create in which you can actually partner with one of the world's largest names in retail. Okay? And it's very low overhead. It's an interesting idea. So go over and take a look at it. It's something that you'll recognize automatically and immediately. Subscribe to this channel. Hustle on. Talk to you soon.